Everyone appreciates a good single-player game, the kind that offers hours of fun without relying on anyone else. These titles know how to capture us with vast worlds, captivating stories, and mechanics that challenge us to go further. Whether we're facing a huge enemy or exploring a universe filled with secrets, these games keep us engaged. Every moment feels unique and makes us want to come back for more. In a market full of options, there are those games that truly stand out and deserve to be played. That's what we're talking about today. I'm Jax, and if you're new here, welcome to the Play Hunters channel, where I bring you daily content so you don't miss any detail of the gaming universe. Kicking off our video, we have a title that not only continues its legacy in a worthy manner, but goes all out to elevate everything to the next level. God of War Ragnarok refines every detail from its predecessor and still finds room to surprise in multiple moments. The story gains new layers with characters who were once sidelined, now taking center stage with deep conflicts and tough decisions. Nothing is thrown in there randomly. Everything has weight, consequence, and purpose. It's the kind of narrative that grabs you without shouting, knowing the value of silence and tension. The movement remains familiar, but feels smoother and bolder. The classic weapons have new functions that completely change how to approach each encounter. Combat isn't just about hitting, it's about choosing how, when, and with what. The arenas have become more vertical, the enemies more diverse and smarter, and the combat rhythm pushes you out of your comfort zone. You can feel the difference as every hit has impact, every dodge carries risk, and every strike is earned. The realms feel more alive, filled with details that constantly surprise. Each place has its own identity, not just in visuals, but in how you explore, solve puzzles, and face challenges. Side missions aren't just extras. They tell stories, reveal truths, and even change how you see the world. It's a game that makes you want to do everything. Not because you have to, but because every piece is worth it. And when you think you've seen it all, it pulls out something new. Now, let's talk about a game that throws you straight into the chaos of a primitive world, where every step could be your last. Shadow of the Tomb Raider starts at the limit and keeps you there the entire time. Dense jungles, forgotten tombs, and threats all around. You're not just walking around. You're hunting, running, climbing, surviving. The atmosphere presses down on you. The paths close in, and the silence of the jungle feels like a constant warning. The tension doesn't only come from enemies, but from nature itself. The gameplay blends stealth, exploration, and strategy in a way that demands constant attention. Every confrontation is a chance to disappear into the shadows and use the environment to your advantage, without firing a single shot. The tombs aren't just impressive visuals. They're filled with traps, hidden mechanisms, and clues that only reveal themselves to those who truly observe. The tools are part of the puzzle, not just accessories. Nothing is handed to you. Everything must be earned with patience and instinct. The jungle becomes both an ally and an enemy. Using mud to hide, scaling moss-covered cliffs, or squeezing through tight gaps becomes part of the routine. The exploration moments are as rewarding as any battle, uncovering secrets, ruins, and fragments of ancient stories. The sense of mystery never fades, it only deepens. And when it all comes together, you're not just playing, you're facing a forgotten civilization, trying to prevent a dark fate while following the trail of something much bigger. In third place, we have a game that turns exaggeration into its own identity. Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth takes turn-based combat to a whole new level, with free movement and moves that border on the absurd. Every fight turns into a spectacle, blending strategy with creativity without losing momentum. It's so well done that the system feels new, despite staying true to its roots. The action remains fun, but now with a sharper control of chaos. Between fights, the game drowns you in content you'll enjoy. Side missions pop up in the most unexpected moments, throwing you into bizarre situations. The mini-games aren't just distractions, they're part of the charm, with their own mechanics and moments that stick in your memory. And as if that weren't enough, you can even run your own business and make important decisions. All of this is woven into a world where there's always something unexpected waiting around the corner. The narrative remains one of the strongest points, mixing bold comedy with heartfelt drama without losing balance. The stories intertwine amidst gangs, broken loyalties, and unlikely alliances. Even the most serious moments, the game finds space to break the tension with an absurd detail. This creates a unique dynamic where anything can happen, but nothing is thrown in without purpose. It's this contrast that hooks you from start to finish, always surprising with authenticity. In fourth place on our list, we have a game that turns every battle into a moving painting. Ghost of Tsushima places you in the middle of a brutal invasion, but the highlight isn't just the war. It's the way every moment is treated with beauty and weight. The island doesn't just serve as a backdrop. It breathes with you, guiding your steps with the wind, setting the pace of your journey. Every location you discover has soul, has purpose, and that completely changes how you play. It's a world that doesn't shout what to do. It invites you subtly. The combat is raw, direct, and full of impact. Each duel is a precise dance, where any mistake costs dearly. The sword strikes with intent. The blows aren't flashy, they're lethal. At the same time, there's room to act from the shadows, eliminating threats without being seen, adapting to what the moment demands. The skills expand in an intelligent way, and over time, you master the battlefield as if reading the enemy's minds. Everything has weight and meaning. There's nothing that feels extraneous. The missions follow an engaging rhythm, with stories about honor, loss, and sacrifice without resorting to exaggeration. The drama is always present but never forced. It comes from the land, the people, the bonds you form and break along the way. Even the side objectives seem written with the same care as the main storyline. Nothing here is superficial. When you realize it, you're not just progressing through the campaign. You're living in a conflict where every choice leaves a mark. In fifth place, we have a game that handles crime with class and intensity, as if each chapter were taken straight from an old film. Mafia Definitive Edition isn't just a remake. It's a complete reconstruction that respects the original while delivering everything with stunning cinematic care. The city breathes the 1930s with cars, music, dialogue, and landscapes that put you right in the middle of an era marked by tension and ambition. It's like walking through a story where every detail was designed to keep you immersed. Nothing feels modern, and that's exactly what makes it work so well. The gameplay is direct, raw, and follows a rhythm that respects the narrative style. The car chases are tense, requiring real control of the situation, with no room for arcade-style madness. The shootouts are dry, with slow reloads, little ammo, and the constant feeling of being at a disadvantage. This forces you to think, protect yourself, and respect every move. It's a game that values precision and the impact of every encounter. And when you're not shooting, the focus shifts entirely to driving and dialogue. Everything revolves around story. The missions follow a more linear path, but with enough variation to keep things interesting. Each stage drives the narrative forward with strength, without padding or unnecessary content. The characters aren't just background to the plot. They carry decisions, doubts, and intentions that shape the game's paths. The environment holds everything together firmly, making each corner of the city feel alive. It's a walk through the Mafia era with weight, emotion, and direction that knows exactly what it wants to tell. In sixth place, we have a game that combines style, brutality, and a shattered world with absurd confidence. Stellar Blade throws you straight into a post-apocalyptic planet filled with bizarre creatures, where every step seems charged with tension. The ruined cities and silent deserts aren't just a backdrop. They tell stories, suggest tragedies, and make you feel the weight of what's been lost. It's a science fiction with soul, delivering detailed and atmospheric environments without ever stopping the action. The battles are the heart of the game, with a combat system that demands reflexes, observation, and courage. You don't win by just pressing buttons. You have to watch, react, and strike at the right moment. Each enemy has its own rhythm, and learning that rhythm is part of the challenge. Your abilities evolve as you master the fight, unlocking powerful moves and combos that turn battles into memorable duels. The sense of victory comes from the sweat, the perfect timing, and the precise execution of every move. Beyond the combat, exploration offers a more contemplative pace, but it's never without purpose. Side missions bring smaller stories that reinforce the setting and themes, while the environments hide resources, secrets, and decisions that impact your journey. Traversing ruins and abandoned structures always has a touch of mystery and reward. Everything feels connected: visuals, combat, narrative, like the entire game was designed from a single vision. And that vision hits the mark. In seventh place, we have an RPG that prefers controlled chaos over the safety of set formulas. Dragon's Dogma 2 builds an open world with true freedom, where you don't follow a path. you choose one. Nothing is too fixed, and the game encourages you to figure things out on your own, make decisions, and deal with the consequences. The vocation system allows you to completely change how you play at any time. It's all about adaptation, curiosity, and the courage to fail. The battles have weight and verticality, blending close combat with magical abilities that tear through the field. Enemies aren't just generic obstacles. They're unpredictable creatures with their own behavior, requiring strategy and attention. Climbing onto a griffin mid-flight or fighting a cyclops the size of a building completely changes the scale of the conflict. And you're not alone. Pawns come into play with their own actions and comments, either helping or hindering. Every fight feels like a well-choreographed improvisation. The world is dense and full of life, with hidden paths, unexpected events, and cities that don't always treat you the same way. Exploring is more than just walking around. It's discovering something off the map that maybe not every player will see. Side missions have real impact, and there's no straight line from beginning to end. Even the weather changes as part of the challenge. Heading out unprepared at night could be a fatal mistake. It's a game that rewards those who observe, persist, and take risks. In 8th place, we have a game that not only impresses, but mesmerizes with every movement. Black Myth Wukong draws from Chinese mythology to create a universe where every creature feels like it's straight out of a strange dream, and every environment tells an ancient legend. The world is vast, mysterious, and full of surprises that challenge both logic and strength equally. You're thrown into the middle of gods, monsters, and trials that test not only your skill, but your perception of the environment. Nothing is simple, and that's exactly what makes everything so captivating. The combat is technical and full of variation. It's not enough to just attack. You must understand the right moment to dodge, transform, and respond creatively. The alternative forms change the fight's rhythm and open up possibilities that make you think differently with each encounter. The variety of abilities lets you face challenges in unique ways, with fluidity and impact. Every strike feels carefully choreographed to balance brutality and elegance. With each enemy defeated, the game rewards you with more than just progress. It gives you mastery. The visuals captivate from the first second. The environments range from silent forests to forgotten temples, always with an insane level of detail. The creatures are bizarre, beautiful, threatening, all at once, and seem to belong to a world of their own, with rules you're still trying to figure out. It's the kind of game that captures your gaze and keeps your mind active at all times, making you curious about what could emerge next from the fog. In 9th place, we have a game that doesn't waste time from the very first minute. It's full speed ahead. Vanquish arrives with intense gunfights, an insane pace, and a movement system that becomes the key differentiator. The sliding mechanic is more than style. It completely changes how you read the battlefield. No more hiding and waiting. It's all about constant action, with millisecond dodges and slow-motion shots in the middle of chaos. Everything happens so fast, breathing becomes a luxury. The gameplay is focused, direct, and extremely well-tuned. Every weapon has a clear purpose, and switching between them at the right moment can change the course of a battle. The enemies aren't bullet sponges. They're obstacles that demand precision and quick reflexes. The time-slowing mechanic gives a tactical edge, but it also creates pure spectacle moments. Vanquish doesn't want you to play beautifully. It wants you to play fast and without blinking. The visuals may reflect the era in which it was created, but the art direction still stands out with its aggressive, clean style. The futuristic cities, metallic enemies, and energy effects form a setting that feels straight out of a war anime. It's a game that understands that adrenaline doesn't just come from the challenge. It comes from total control over every second of action. In 10th place, we have a game that chooses to tell a story of resistance with its own style. The Saboteur places you in Nazi-occupied Paris, but the twist lies in how the game shows this. The areas controlled by the enemy appear in black and white, almost lifeless, and color only returns when you sabotage their operations. It's a visual choice that goes beyond just looking good. It makes you feel the impact of your fight. Each mission completed lights up a piece of the city, as if hope is gradually returning. The gameplay blends action, stealth, and exploration with total freedom to approach each objective. You can climb buildings, silently eliminate targets, steal vehicles, and cause chaos with well-placed explosions. The city isn't just a backdrop. It reacts to your actions, with more intense patrols in dangerous areas and allies appearing as you gain ground. It's the kind of game that rewards creativity amidst chaos. There's no right way, just the boldest one. The side missions scattered across Paris break up the campaign's pace and deepen the sense of rebellion. Car races, smaller sabotages, and unexpected confrontations appear constantly, creating a persistent sense of tension. It's a game about vengeance, but also about bringing color back to a place they tried to erase. In 11th place on our list, we have a game that feels like it came straight out of a nightmare drawn by hand. Sundered throws you into a chaotic world where every corridor is a threat and each death changes the path ahead. The environment constantly shifts, creating an unpredictable maze filled with creatures inspired by cosmic horror. The choices place you between accepting corruption for power or resisting to keep your humanity. This duality sets the tone for a tense journey filled with weight. The combat is frantic and unpredictable, with hordes of enemies suddenly appearing in coordinated attacks. It's not enough to memorize patterns. You must adapt, use the environment, and time your skills correctly. The bosses are massive, turning each encounter into an event where reflexes and strategy meet. The movement is fluid, and as new abilities emerge, the world opens up with previously unreachable possibilities. Everything works in a cycle of trial, error, and rewarding satisfaction. The art direction is a spectacle in itself, with each environment painted with grotesque yet beautiful details. The Metroidvania mechanics blend organically with roguelike elements, keeping the tension alive. The story is subtle, hidden in pieces, forcing you to piece together the puzzle yourself. The game doesn't guide you. It challenges you to move forward, even without promising salvation. In 12th place, we have a title that redefines the meaning of freedom in a dangerous world. Elden Ring doesn't give you direction or hold your hand. It throws you into a vast, unknown continent where every direction hides something grand or fatal. Everything is built to spark curiosity, from ruined castles to caves hidden in forgotten hills. You walk, see something on the horizon, and just go. The feeling is one of exploring a forbidden place where beauty hides violence. The battles follow the developer's unforgiving tradition, requiring movement reading, patience, and a touch of boldness. The combat system opens up with dozens of weapons, magic, and styles, allowing for unique approaches. Bosses rise like living mountains, ready to crush any mistake, but also to reward every correct move with pure satisfaction. Cinematics are well placed, but the action is constant, built on the details and the player's choices. Nothing feels out of place. Everything responds with precision. Exploration isn't just rewarding, it's the true engine of a game. Missions don't appear marked on the map. You need to listen, observe, and pay attention to the world around you. Secrets are everywhere, waiting for the curious, the stubborn, the observant. Forgotten nights, sunken kingdoms, passages between worlds, all appear organically. It's a game that respects those who persist and surprises those who take risks, without needing to explain anything out loud. In 13th place, we have a game that blends revolution and chaos in a paradise on the verge of explosion. Far Cry 6 places you in the middle of a civil war, on an island ruled by an authoritarian regime, where each region has its own rules and tensions. The setting is vibrant, full of color, wild nature, and contrast that make every piece of the map feel unique. From hidden villages to enemy fortresses, everything is ready to be explored or destroyed. It's a game that urges you to act, even if it's just out of impulse. The action is fast-paced, with frenetic shootouts and absurd combat possibilities. Nail launchers, explosive backpacks, and scrap-made weapons. Everything is a tool for creative destruction. You don't have to follow a fixed path. You can sneak, blow everything up, or invade with allies and improvisation. Animal companions return with force, adding personality to combat and helping in unexpected moments. Every mission can be solved in a different way, and the game encourages you to experiment more and more. The island is alive, pulsating, and full of distractions that are worth every minute away from the main campaign. From improvised races to brutal hunts, everything rewards you with resources, side stories, or just the pure pleasure of chaos. The villains continue to shine, with speeches that discomfort and actions that weigh heavily on the unfolding events. Everything revolves around confrontation, ideological, physical, social, and it's up to you to decide how to face this system. In 14th place, we have a game that turns gunfights into an uncontrolled spectacle. Bulletstorm doesn't want you to just eliminate enemies. It wants you to do it with style, creativity, and choreographed brutality. Every weapon has an absurd effect. Every kick sends bodies flying across the scenery like a violent playground. The scoring system encourages daring, rewarding those who kill in insane and varied ways. The entire campaign feels designed to keep the adrenaline at its peak. The movement is quick and aggressive, with a hook that pulls enemies or throws you straight into chaos. There's no room for standing still. The game pushes you forward with explosions and sarcastic comments. The variety of crazy weapons like shots that explode in spikes or guided bullets changes the way you play constantly. Every environment is a destruction playground where everything can be used to your advantage. Combat becomes a dirty, fun dance. The story follows with cheeky humor, filled with exaggeration but never losing its pace. The characters live between rudeness and insanity, which perfectly matches the game's exaggerated premise. The situations are absurd, the dialogue's sharp, and the game never tries to take itself too seriously. All this creates an atmosphere where exaggeration becomes charm and creative violence becomes the rule. It's a blatant invitation to forget limits and fully enjoy the chaos. In 15th place on our list, we have a game that embraces the future with a mix of neon, despair, and brutal freedom. Cyberpunk 2077 places you in the middle of a city that never sleeps, where every alley has a dirty story and every decision can cost you dearly. Night City pulses with its own life. Vendors, gangs, implants, betrayals, all mixed in a decadent luxury aesthetic. Every corner has something to say, even when no one is speaking. Combat blends frantic shootouts with hacks that turn the battlefield upside down. You can explode brains from a distance, invade systems, or just charge in with raw power and body modifications. The arsenal is varied, with smart weapons, tech, or pure brutality. The character building lets you create entirely different playstyles, from the cold sharpshooter to the stealthy hacker. The story is full of moral choices, dubious alliances, and memorable characters who are never just good or bad. Side missions aren't just there to fill time. They carry real weight, change the course of events, and reveal deep layers of the city. The atmosphere pulls you in so much that sometimes you just want to walk, listen to conversations, observe the world. It's a dirty, vibrant, and dangerous future where surviving is already a constant act of challenge. In 16th place, we have a game that throws you onto a broken road between dense forests and ruined cities. Days Gone doesn't rush anything. It lets you feel the weight of solitude, the silence of the fields, and the constant roar of the motorcycle. It's more than transportation. It's survival, refuge, identity. The setting is marked by this post-apocalyptic vibe that doesn't scream, but whispers. Every stop has something left behind, something that forces you to keep going. Combat requires more than just quick aim. It demands attention and preparation. The hordes are one of the biggest highlights, appearing like a collective nightmare that relentlessly chases you. You can't face everything head-on. You learn to retreat, set traps, and attack with intelligence. The fear doesn't come from a specific monster, but from everything around you. Surviving becomes a rhythm game, where every mistake is costly. The missions dive into trauma, loss, and attempts at rebuilding in the midst of chaos. The characters have layers, flaws, contradictions that make everything feel more human. The narrative progresses slowly, but when it picks up pace, it delivers truly powerful moments. Every relationship carries marks of the past and uncertainties about the future. It's a game that understands the end of the world doesn't happen all at once. It happens gradually as you try to keep going. In 17th place, we have a game that doesn't waste time and throws you straight into a race for survival with sword in hand. Ghostrunner combines speed, precision, and style in a brutal, vertical cyberpunk world. Each environment is an obstacle course where one mistake means instant death. The dirty, technological aesthetic reinforces the urgency of every move. There's no space for hesitation. You run, jump, slice, and try again until you get it right. Combat is lethal and demands total mastery of rhythm. One hit eliminates the enemy, but a single shot will end you, creating constant tension in every encounter. Level design encourages fluidity, as if every stage were a parkour puzzle combined with sharp blades. Abilities like slowing down time or dodging midair aren't just extras. They're essential for survival. Everything forces you to think fast and act even faster. The narrative unfolds amid the action, with dialogues emerging while you scale skyscrapers or cross hallways full of traps. The world building is done in fragments, letting you piece it together as you progress. Upgrades bring new ways to approach challenges without breaking the fast pace. Every mission feels like a choreographed sequence of precision and reflex. It's a game that tests your limits constantly and doesn't forgive distractions. Now it's time for Katana Zero, a game that mixes frantic action with a deep narrative full of mysteries. You play as a highly trained assassin with a murky past and a seemingly simple mission that grows more complicated as the story unfolds. The plot is engaging, with twists that make you question what's going on, and adds an emotional layer that connects the player to the character in a unique way. The gameplay is intense and demands precision. Each mission is a series of rapid movements, with katana slashes and precise dodges, almost like a deadly dance. The game requires you to think quickly and plan your actions, as one mistake can mean instant death. The time mechanic, where you can visualize movements before executing them, adds strategic depth that makes combat even more thrilling. The game features pixel art with a vibrant yet dark color palette, perfectly matching the tense atmosphere. Each environment, from urban details to the fight sequences, has a style that recalls the classics, but with a modern twist. The combination of art and animation is fluid, making the visuals, along with gameplay, create an incredible immersion into this dystopian world full of secrets. Let's talk about Lies of P, a game that brings a unique take on a classic tale, blending action with a dark narrative. Inspired by Pinocchio, the story follows the protagonist in a decaying city, searching for answers to a mystery amid tragedy. The game builds an atmosphere full of lies, deceit, and moral choices, which will affect how the story unfolds, creating a connection between the player and the dystopian world. The gameplay focuses on challenging combat, reminiscent of Souls-like games, where every movement needs to be precise and calculated. You'll face relentless enemies and gigantic bosses, requiring patience and strategy to overcome obstacles. The character customization system is also interesting, allowing you to adjust skills and equipment to fit your playstyle, making each playthrough more dynamic. In terms of graphics, Lies of P uses detailed and dark visuals that perfectly capture the atmosphere of a decaying city. The environments are rich in detail, with a design inspired by Victorian architecture and a dark color palette reflecting the sadness and oppression of the world. The combination of lighting and textures creates a sense of total immersion, making you feel like part of this world of mystery and horror. Next up is Trek to Yomi, a game that blends action with a deep story, set in feudal Japan heavily influenced by classic samurai cinema. The plot follows a young warrior seeking revenge after the loss of his master and the destruction of his village. The story is filled with themes of honor, sacrifice, and the internal struggle between life and death, with a narrative that respects the roots of samurai films, but with a unique touch. The gameplay is fluid, focusing on fast-paced and well-choreographed combat, where every movement of the samurai is crucial. The combat system allows you to perform quick attacks, precise blocks, and counterattacks, challenging your ability to read enemy movements. The difficulty strikes a good balance between being challenging and fair, encouraging perfection at the right moments without losing the frantic action. It adopts a black and white aesthetic with a visual style inspired by samurai films, creating an impressive visual experience full of style. The environments are well designed, with a look reminiscent of classic samurai movies, and the lighting is carefully crafted to add depth to the scenes. This combination of art and design direction offers total immersion in this world, making you feel like you're inside a samurai movie where every move counts. And tell me, which of these games have you had a chance to play, and what did you think of them? Also, feel free to comment on any game you'd recommend that's definitely worth playing. If you can, subscribe to the channel to help me grow and never be in doubt about what to play again. I'm leaving 2 videos in the card, one I personally selected for you, and the other chosen by YouTube itself. Just click on either to watch. A big hug, happy gaming, and see you tomorrow.